John Ackah Blay-Miezah is often considered the biggest scammer in the history of Ghana. However, his victims were not the ordinary Ghanaians, but rather American citizens, a couple of people from London and South Korea, and also the government of Ghana. Oh yeah, a whole government of Ghana. Hi, I'm Chronica, and I tell the untold stories about amazing personalities in Ghana. And today, we are diving into the rise and fall of John Ackah Blay-Miezah. It all started somewhere in 1972 when John Ackah Blay-Miezah was returning to Philadelphia from Ghana. Blay-Miezah checked into this high-class expensive hotel as a Ghanaian diplomat. But few days later, the hotel manager would get Blay arrested when he discovered that the Ghana embassy is refusing to pay the hotel bills because Blay-Miezah is not a diplomat as he claimed to be. Moreover, Blay-Miezah himself could neither afford to pay the $2,700 hotel bills nor the court fine. Therefore, he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment at the Greater Fort State Prison. Inside the prison, John Ackah Blay-Miezah got close to the prison chaplain and told him a story about how Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has entrusted him with a huge secret assignment. Before we dive into the secret assignment, let's quickly look into something that happened back in 1966. Now, in case you didn't know, the Ghanaian masses joyfully celebrated when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in a coup d'etat led by the National Military and Police Force with backing from the Civil Service and the American CIA. Yes, Ghanaians celebrated because they fully bought into the various propagandas made against Kwame Nkrumah by the coup plotters. One of the propaganda was that Kwame Nkrumah has stolen huge sums of gold and money belonging to the nation and hidden them in foreign countries all for himself, whilst the masses are suffering. Now, into the huge secret assignment. Ackah Blay-Miezah flipped the propaganda script upside down and told the prison chaplain, Reverend James Edward Woodruff, that Kwame Nkrumah did not actually steal Ghana's gold for his personal gains, but he rather invested the gold into various trust funds across the world so that he would use the profits to develop Ghana. According to Blay-Miezah, he was with Kwame Nkrumah in Romania, and just before Kwame Nkrumah would pass away, he gave him all the access codes and instructed him to unlock and retrieve the gold, which was then worth over $22 billion for the development of Ghana. But now, there is a problem. Blay-Miezah says he does not have the financial resources to travel around the world to process and unlock the funds. So anyone who can assist him financially to unlock the gold will be rewarded tenfold. So, the chaplain, Reverend James, would help get Ackah Blay-Miezah out of prison by paying the court fine for him, and then connect him to one Robert Ellis, a construction company owner. Robert Ellis would help Blay-Miezah establish an office for what he called the Oman Ghana Trust Fund. He told people that if you invest in the Oman Ghana Trust Fund, your money will be doubled in tenfold after they have successfully unlocked the gold Kwame Nkrumah invested for Ghana. For instance, if you invest $1,000, your tenfold reward would be $10,000. And if you invest $100,000, you are looking at $1 million US. Fast forward, the date for the investors to receive their tenfold reward arrived. Blay-Miezah explained to the investors that the gold and money that were in 16 different banks across the world has been successfully consolidated into 5 banks. But the process for the next step has become more challenging, so he would need additional money and time to complete the process. Obviously, some of the investors will put in more money. Others will also bring in their friends and relatives to invest so that Blay-Miezah can get more money to complete the process. The new date will arrive and Blay-Miezah will cook up a new story and promise investors 20-fold rewards if they will bring in new investors on board.
Mr. Bradley, my word is better than my bond. When I promise you that after giving me $100,000, I'll give you $1 million, I will never disown it.
That's your word?
That is my word. And
better than your bond?
Oh, yes.
As you may have already noticed, Blay-Miezah have appetites for expensive and luxury hotels. But do you know what else Blay-Miezah have high appetite for? Local Ghanaian dishes like fufu na ochenkwan, Brazilian pese na onye kontomire abom with Kobe papabi. So, he traveled around the world, chilled in expensive hotels, but he never ate the hotel food because he had his own personal chef from Ghana following him around and cooking delicious Ghanaian dishes for his enjoyment. Blay-Miezah never ran out of stories to get more money from more investors. He even promised some of the investors that he will give them government contracts in Ghana. But 15 years on, and some investors would run out of patience for the stories and reports to the authorities.
By 1986, Barry Ginsburg had had enough. He filed a complaint with the district attorney's office here in Philadelphia, claiming that Blay-Miezah and his American associate Robert Ellis had defrauded him and a group of other investors of nearly $2 million.
A warrant was issued for the arrest of Blay-Miezah, but he was already out of Philadelphia and he was back to Ghana. However, his partner Robert Ellis was arrested and prosecuted. In Ghana, Blay-Miezah was also arrested and prosecuted for using the image of Kwame Nkrumah and Ghana to commit international financial crimes, and he was sentenced to death. But this is where the story gets interesting. So, have you subscribed to the channel? Oh, okay. Let's continue. Whilst in prison awaiting his execution, Blay would successfully prove to the authorities and government that he indeed have the funds in a bank in London. And seriously, he has to bring the money home to the government as soon as possible before the money enters into the wrong hands. However, there was a problem. Blay-Miezah is declared a wanted man in London. So, for him not to be arrested in London, the Ghana government had to issue some type of diplomatic passport for him. But before the passport will be given to Blay-Miezah, there were a couple of conditions set for him, including but not limited to that this is now official government assignments. Therefore, government officials, including police, will follow him to London, and also he can no longer attach Kwame Nkrumah's name to this assignment. So, will Blay-Miezah accept the diplomatic passport with these conditions?
Our former president has no involvement in the fund.
Even with government officials following him up and down across London, it seems Ackah Blay-Miezah never ran out of stories and excuses for his investors who were pulling him left, right, center for their money.
I'll be able to prove this week that I'm worth billions.
And finally, the day for Blay-Miezah to receive the money eventually arrived.
He'd heard from his banks, he said, that at long last the funds were released and he could now pay out all those millions he owed.
So, the Ghana government officials, including the police, followed him to the bank, and after a few minutes of talking to different workers in the bank individually, John Ackah Blay-Miezah vanished. Oh yeah, for the vanishing. Turns out he escaped through the washroom window. To cut the long story short, Blay-Miezah was later on arrested again, put under house arrest in Ghana until until his death. Whilst many people see John Ackah Blay-Miezah as a big scammer, other people also see him as a hero for outsmarting the whites. What do you also think? Let us discuss in the comments section.